what should be the top story, and what is getting very little media coverage, is there is a candidate for the Liberal Party, or a former candidate, and a religious leader who has explicitly called for the genocide of another people. This is not a big deal in the Liberals. So pull up the story here. We have Hassan Guillet, a imam from who made a name for himself during the Quebec march shooting. Liberal Party revokes candidacy over vetted candidates' past anti-Semitic comments and beliefs. This is a much better headline than what the CBC said. The CBC said Liberals ditch candidate over Conservatives' alleged anti-Semitism, which is why you should listen to the Post-Millennial more than you do the CBC. A bit biased in that regard, but still. So some of the things he said is he went on Radio Canada 1, and his personal statement is, Israel is an apartheid state. It is not. Arabs have all full rights in the state of Israel. They're in the government, they're in the judiciary, they're in every faction of life, in the universities. There is no laws. There is one law in Israel that is an apartheid law on the Temple Mount in Israel. On the Temple Mount, which is the holy site in Judaism, it's where the Al-Aqsa Mosque is. Only Muslims are allowed in the Temple Mount. So there is apartheid. There is a final security check where you have to prove you're a Muslim to get there. But other than that, full religious rights to everyone. Jews and Christians are not allowed to pray on their holiest site in Israel. So there is a bit of apartheid. And maybe that's what he's talking about. Maybe he can clarify he wants the Al-Aqsa Mosque to be and the Temple Mount to be a place where all people of all faiths can pray. Maybe that's what he meant. But not quite, because in other comments, he has talked about the Jews taking control of the Al-Aqsa Mosque. And when he means the Jews, he actually probably means the Islamic Waqf of Jordan. Again, the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Temple Mount, the holiest site in Judaism, is controlled by the Islamic Waqf of Jordan. So a lot of fake news. Now, he has also praised a Hamas-aligned activist. This Hamas activist has said things. He has called for openly terrorists. He's called for destruction of Israel through terrorist and jihad means. So he's very pro-terrorism. This activist has also said Israel did 9/11. They didn't. He has also said that the Jews kidnap children and use their blood to bake the holy bread. Now this is an anti-Semitic blood libel going back to the Middle Ages. Now this is what the CBC says alleged anti-Semitism. So Jews kidnap children and use their blood to bake bread. That might be anti-Semitic, we don't know, we have to ask an expert, we want to know, what does Bernie Farber think, let's find out. This is why they're fake news. Because when there was a video of a man confronting Gurtan Singh at Muslim Fest, screaming about Sharia law, they say, this is Islamophobia happened at Muslim Fest. When a imam says, or praises a man who said, the Jews will steal your children and use their blood to bake bread. This is alleged anti-Semitism. We don't know. It's conservatives allege. Who knows? Andrew Scheer, he's so crazy. See a bit of the double standard here? Now, if you go to the guy's mosque's website, the mosque website had multiple calls for genocide against the Jews. There's a hadith, it's also in Hamas's charter, where it's basically, oh Allah, the day of judgment will not come until the Muslims fight the Jews everywhere, and they will hide behind the rocks and trees, and the rocks and trees will be like, yo, there's a Jew behind me, come kill him. Except for the Gurkha tree, which is a tree of the Jews. Apparently, no one in Judaism knows about this, but the Muslims think we have a magic tree, and that tree will hide the Jews. And then there's stuff, they're linked to imams on the website, say, I went to Israel and I saw, or Palestine, and I saw all the Jews planting all these Gurkha trees around to hide, oh, we're really going to kill the Jews. This sort of hadith I saw it 3 times on their website. 3 times. Now, all of this get much worse. So pull up the other thing on this. Now, it turns out that the Liberals had known about this for a month. I like Yankees, Yakov saying, is Liberal Party of Canada. Anti-Semitism is cool unless people find out about it. CIJA, which is mostly does a do-nothing organization, did something. They reported this anti-Semitism to the Liberals in June. And Hassan even admits it here. He goes on to say, he goes on to say that they were, here's ex-Liberal Hassan Guillet, flanked by family and supporters, says Liberal Party was aware of his past on comments and working with him on a PR plan when suddenly the party unilaterally withdrew its motion. They withdrew because B'nai B'rith made this public. Didn't want to do it behind doors. Said, look what this crazy asshole said. He wants to kill us all. Maybe we should talk about this. Maybe in this politically correct society where everything's Islamophobia. Is calling for the open genocide of Jews multiple times, is that anti-Semitism? We don't know. So since June, they're working on a PR strategy to sort of push this under the rug. Do you wonder why no one really trusts Justin Trudeau when he says diversity and tolerance and blah, 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 and you're a whatever-ophobe? Remember, Justin Trudeau says you're a Nazi, right? Or Gerald Butts. Anyone who criticizes Justin Trudeau's socks is a Nazi. They are criticizing the socks, and that is not allowed, because you know what we did? It's the first thing Adolf Hitler did, is he criticized the socks. First they came for the socks, and then the Jews, right? Like, so Nazi panic. We must panic over white supremacist terrorism. Nazis everywhere. Nazis are everywhere. Oh, kill all the Jews? Nah. What's so bad? So they're working on a PR strategy. Now, he came out with an apology today at a press conference. He didn't take responsibility for his actions. He didn't recount any of his anti-Semitic statements. What he had said is he had called Israel a apartheid state. He had accused Jared Kushner of dual loyalties to Israel. Didn't recant any of that. You know, instead, he just said, oh, I said some words, and, you know, I'm really against anti-Semitism now, but everything I said about the Jews is true. Listen, I would have accepted his apology or the PR strategy if he did this. I don't care what he said in the past. I really don't care. He could have kept the things up there and said, listen, I said some things in the past, but here's where I am now. And I would have accepted this, and I would support him if he said this. Listen, I said some things in the past with the Jews, but I just want to say 3 things. The Jews did not do 9/11. That is an anti-Semitic slur. Full out disagree. Israel has the right to exist. I unequivocally condemn Hamas as a terrorist organization. All suicide bombings are evil and have zero justification. Says those 3 things, right? If he says those 3 things, he's absolved. But he would never ever say them if he actually is an anti-Semite. Because I guarantee you he doesn't think Israel's right to exist. I guarantee you he sometimes thinks suicide bombings against Jews are justified. And listen, studies show in the UK, more Muslims in the UK, this is BBC polling data, which is the government data, more Muslims in the UK think the Jews did 9/11 than Al-Qaeda. So is this a wacky thing to think? No, it's actually pretty standard, pretty par for the course for a Liberal Party candidate. So because of all this, he didn't recant any of his statements. Basically, the Liberal Party is okay with Nazi ideology as long as it's coming from an Islamic source. Nazis are bad, and you're a Nazi, and all white people are Nazis. But if an Islamic extremist says kill all the Jews, what's so wrong with that? Liberal Party 2019.